because of the gravitational pull of the moon and its effect on the earth once a month, as it affects many women, they cycle. Their normal menstrual cycles might be timed with the moon. It's all about gravity. Same thing for these parasites that get much more active about a week before and a week after. So if we're going to look to do a parasite cleanse, that would be an optimal time because they're all coming out.
All right, guys, got Robby Besner here, founder of Therasage, and he brought the hydrogen water bottle, right?
Yeah, brought it along just...
I love it.
Just want to show you that I not just talk the talk, but I walk the walk also.
Yeah, so what exactly does that do to the water? I see it bubbling.
Yeah, what's happening now is basically we're separating out the hydrogen molecules from the water that's in there. You don't necessarily have to use distilled water, but what I'm doing is separating it out, and then I'm going to impact the hydrogen that's in the container right now. I'm going to double that up so that basically we're infusing extra hydrogen into the water. So when you drink it, you're bringing more hydrogen into your bloodstream.
Okay.
And that helps with lowering oxidative stress, energizes you. Like, it's way better than the Red Bull and all the caffeine drinks and sugar-loaded stuff out there. This is just the way to do it naturally.
Nice. There's a lot of debate on the best type of water to drink. So you think hydrogen is up there?
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly it should be filtered beforehand. And I love structured water because that's the way nature intended water to be in order for it to create a lot of sort of great physiological effects in the body. But I like ozone, which is extra oxygen in water, ozone infused water. And I love the molecular hydrogen is one of my favorite hacks right now.
How important is it to get a water filter at home for your showers and your sinks?
It's way important, especially in today's world. I mean, we've seen it in a lot of the sort of more formal things like in Flint, Michigan, where they expose the fact that many of the water sources, municipal water sources, are tainted by the containers, essentially, that bring the water to the faucet or basically to your mouth. But if you think about the way nature kind of intended water to be, we start at the top of a snow-capped mountain, right? And so we have precipitation on top of the mountain. Then the sun rises, it melts part of that water, though that snow down. At the same time, those light frequencies are structuring the water so that it's more bioavailable on a cell level. And then eventually that water trickles down the mountain, collects minerals around stones and energy and stuff like that. Well, compare that, Sean, to the way we drink our water now. It comes down a PVC pipe. There's no energetics. It's infused with all a bunch of chemicals because the municipal water systems, in order to keep the bacterial levels low, they put fluorides and chlorines and things like that in it, chemicals that our bodies basically hold on to and over time get us sick.
Wow. So your body holds on to the chemicals?
Yeah. It's kind of a concept, but it's sort of like we're biofilters. We breathe bad air and our lungs pull that out. We grab what we need for our bodies, but we hold on to all the chemicals that are in the air. And eventually, if you can't filter that stuff out properly, it starts to build up and it affects our immune systems and our overall health. And so good air, good water, good food, sunlight, these are what I teach when I talk about the principles of primal healing, because if we date back to when our ancestors, like 8,000 years ago, Buddha, Moses, and Jesus times, we lived in the land, we woke up to sunlight. It's not the same as what we're living in the modern world.
Right.
And I think over time that kind of affects us. Certainly, there are great modern conveniences that we all feel from our tech and all that, but the offset is that many of this technology isn't controlled by people that have health-minded concerns, and so they don't filter the health challenges that might happen with the technology. And so, filtered water, like overall filtering for the home, is important. And I think that certainly then you can trickle it down to the water that you bathe in or the water that you drink, and certainly what you cook with.
Yeah,
so I think that's a key.
Absolutely. There's toxic all around us. People got their phone in their pockets. They sleep next to it. There's Wi-Fi, EMF, right? It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So what's the way to can you detox from that type of stuff, all the technology?
Well, some of the stuff that we do does that. But you know, like what I do is sort of take nature and I put it into technology that brings nature into your home and your lifestyle. But you don't need to buy the tech to do that. If you had the time and the desire, it could be as simple as kicking your shoes off and walking on the beach, or hugging a tree or something like that that's grounded to the earth to bring those energies and bring nature back into your life.
Really? So hugging a tree can actually heal you?
Yeah. I'm one of those crazy tree huggers, but oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, totally. And it was very interesting because I was interviewed about 3 months ago by a guy. He was with his wife. They were kind of high tech, burned out executives, mid-40s. Had all kinds of health challenges, stress-related health challenges, him and his wife. So they took a 2-week vacation in Spain. Second day in, they decided to kick their shoes off and walk back to the hotel after being tired all day. And all of a sudden, they felt energized. So they spent the next 2 weeks with their shoes off the entire holiday, right?
That's funny.
Which turned into a 2-year journey walking barefoot from Spain to Poland and back.
What?
Oh, yeah. He was writing a book about it right now. It's such a cool story, you know? And basically, after the first month of just walking barefoot, just touching the earth, all of their symptoms, all their stress symptoms, everything went away.
Really?
Yeah. So that's how powerful just nature is. The problem in today's world is that there's not a lot of story around it. You know, people, the younger people aren't kind of tuned into nature, mostly into hacks, into tech. And some of the older people, maybe because of just modern lifestyles, trying to make ends meet, things like that, they don't have time in their lives, their busy lives, to really tune into nature as, you know, from the health point of view.
Yeah, so grounding's super important then.
Yeah.
What about those grounding mats? Do you think those work where you plug into the outlet?
Yeah, I do. There's some kind of pitfalls coming forward with that because basically a grounding mat is bringing earth energy into your body. So what happens is that if most modern electrical homes are wired with a grounding wire, like a copper wire and a copper lead that's actually into the ground. And in the years ago, it used to be mostly for lightning rods, so that if your house was struck by lightning, it would catch that wire and go right, rather than it going into your equipment in your house. It would diffuse that power of the lightning directly into the ground.
Oh, wow.
So that's what, like post, that was the old way, the retro way. Nowadays, in sort of modern tech, that same grounding lead that's in the ground now goes into all of your modern sockets. And so they bring that same grounding effect into the wires that you plug your devices into. And it's super important because, first off, many of the electrical currents aren't in alternating current. It puts out a wavelength that it oscillates at a much higher frequency than our body frequency. And so when you're using an electrical device or near an electrical device that's not grounded properly, it's sending energies to your body that takes your body sort of biofield and your natural body energies. It takes it out of its normal sort of frequency range.
Wow.
And it's subtle. I mean, all these things we're talking about are subtle energies. But when you add up all the subtle energies and the impact of being a little bit out of phase on each one of them, then the overall experience is depression, emotional challenges, your immune system's being compromised. And so, you know, like if you're healthy like you, or you're active, or you're young, you may not feel it that much. But as you get older, it starts to affect you, and you don't know why. Right? And then if you're compromised, let's say genetically, or you catch a disease, whatever that might be, wow. Now you got the impact of that chronic challenge with the effects of all these little low stressors. And that can have a major impact on your health.
Yeah, I know diseases live in low frequency environments, right?
Yeah.
So if you raise your frequency, is it possible to have mental health problems?
Totally.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, just think about like on the 405 in California, the stress of just being caught in traffic. People are just angsting at each other, you know, just from that alone. But I just find that I think that we're living in a time where conveniences, modern conveniences, are certainly helpful if you're looking to game faster or surf faster or actually get information faster. But the offset to that is that many of these modern conveniences, they challenge our organic health. And that's where I think that part of the things that we talk about, you know, the things that we educate or just kind of raising awareness as to the very simple things that we can do to sort of kind of even out the score.
Yeah, I want to talk about mold. So I go to Lifetime,
Okay.
and they found mold in the sauna,
Wow.
black mold.
Wow.
So I was inhaling that for months.
Wow.
So do you think there's a way I can see if I was impacted by that?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can actually measure in your blood the side effects. It's really a toxin that mold will give off in its lifestyle. So we have, tens of thousands of organisms that live in harmony in our body. Most of them are in our digestive tracts, and it's used to sort of break down foods and pre-digest things so that eventually gets to a small enough particle that it actually can be absorbed by our tissues and our cells. And so mold is, we all have it. We have it in our bodies. We all have a little Epstein-Barr. We all have a little bit of streptococcus. We all have a little bit of cancer. All these little bits don't really mean too much. It's when you have a imbalance in those microorganisms that actually we start to have the challenge. So the problem with mold is there's at least 100,000 different variations of mold.
Damn. This one was black mold.
Well, that's the thing. There's probably less than 1,000, I want to say in the hundreds of mold classifications that are actually harmful for us.
Oh, okay.
So that's why mold testing is kind of cool, because you can find out right away like what you've got living in your environment. And like in my house in Florida, we had 11 different variations of mold when we tested, but only 3 of them were bad. Of course, one of them was in my bedroom. It's always that way, right?
Yeah.
But the key is first off, it's not a one and done deal. Mold is around, and it used to be that mold was just kind of identified in coastal cities because of the dampness, like Florida or even California, stuff like that. But now it's really very pervasive everywhere. And so, here in like Arizona or in Las Vegas area, Nevada, it's sort of a dry area, so it wouldn't be mold prone. But you've got a house and you've got let's say a basement, or you've got a utility and there's a little break in the like the water line, and you're in, maybe from some weather condition or just bad plumbing. Now you've got a little bit of leak, drip, 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 drip. It's behind the wall. You can't see it. It's, warm in the house or warm in the climate outside. So it's basically a perfect storm for mold to live, all variations. And so, I mean, you can get these little petri dishes and these little mold tests. We have a company that we aligned with because we always look to level up with the best companies that in various different categories of health.
Yeah.
And you can test maybe twice a year. That's what we do, 2 to 3 times a year. We remediated once. We found out our problem, but I just don't think that it's a one and done. I think you have to do it, and you just have to keep up on it.
Wow, twice a year.
Yeah. So you could test in your blood when you do a normal blood testing. They test for mycotoxin, which is the byproduct or a toxin that a mold gives off. So then you can know whether or not it's actually systemic.
Got it.
So it's not bad to be exposed to it, because basically, you're young and you're healthy, and so your body would expunge and get rid of that stuff. But if it's in your home and you're sleeping 8 hours a day and you're just inhaling, you don't realize it, and then all of a sudden you add that exposure to other exposures like electromagnetic fields and things that activate the microorganisms in your body, not necessarily in a good way. Now, when you start adding up all those things, you start to have a challenge.
Yeah. Apparently full moons, which tonight is a full moon, activate parasites. Is that true?
Yeah, very true.
Wow.
Actually, when we look for parasite to try to help people that have parasite challenges, again, parasites are just another organism that actually lives in harmony generally in our bodies. So it's not a war against parasites. It's just understanding that they all have a place at the table, okay? And it's the imbalances you have to deal with. But because of the gravitational pull of the moon and its effect on the earth once a month, as it affects many women, they cycle. Their normal menstrual cycles might be timed with the moon. It's all about gravity. Same thing for these parasites. They get much more active about a week before and a week after. So if we're going to look to do a parasite cleanse, that would be an optimal time because they're all coming out. So then you can do things, and we kind of like to look at the world through natural healing as best we can. So homeopathic, natural sort of elements and supplements that you can use so that the in this case, if you're going for parasites, you're not introducing a pharmaceutical or a chemical into the body that the parasites, because generally these organisms are pretty smart and they're adaptive. And so if you give them the same thing and it's kind of a chemical base, they sense it in your blood and they run and they hide.
Wow.
So if you want to get them with things that are happening in nature, like sunlight and good water and stuff like that.
So you could kill parasites with sunlight?
Well, there are frequencies. It's not necessarily kill them, but you can bring them out so that if you combine that with some other kinds of, we have a few different homeopathic secrets, sort of.
Got it.
But it's just sort of things that you can use that can easily sort of slow down the progression, and then that allows your body to come in and sort of rebalance.
Yeah, I definitely want to take one because I've been having some brain fog. I don't know if that's related.
Oh, yeah, it's totally related.
It is? That's what I was thinking,
too. It can
too.
be.
Yeah, I've been waking up groggy lately.
Wow.
Yeah, I need to look into that, man. And a lot of people wake up like that.
Yeah. I think, again, it's, part of it could be just maybe your sleeping environment. We start there. So is your room pitch black? We have a little gland in the middle of our brain called the pineal gland. It's about the size of a walnut. And it produces two hormones, melatonin and serotonin. The melatonin is kind of your Xanax, your anti-anxiety, your kind of slows your body down. So when the sun sets and your eye, your ocular nerve, senses that there's less light, then it sends a signal to the pineal gland to start producing this slowdown, kind of mellow out type of hormone. And that gets us ready. It shifts us from our autonomic nervous system being in fight and flight and anxious to alpha, which is the parasympathetic, then theta, which is sort of a dream state, and it gets us ready for bed. That's why using like cell phones and blue light devices before bed activates your brain, gets you excited when you want to be kind of slowing down.
Right.
So light stimulates this little gland, and then that stimulates the production of melatonin. Conversely, when the sun rises in the morning, then the gland or the eye senses the light, and then it stops producing melatonin, starts producing serotonin, and that's your wake-up energy hormone. So if your room, when you're sleeping at night, has the smallest amount of light, it triggers that little gland not to either make as much melatonin or, it kind of gets your cycle off, your bio clock off.
So blackout curtains are super important then?
Super important. No EMF in the room is really cool, really good. So I usually start there when I talk with people about sleep challenges. You wake up groggy, it could be simply that you're not getting the quality of restorative sleep, not that you're not getting enough quantity.
Right.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of tech out there like Oura Rings and Fitbits and different wearables that you can actually measure your sleep patterns.
Yeah,
and
I'm going to get one of those.
Yeah, you have those?
I need to get one.
Yeah. They're cool. Don't love the wireless piece because, again, those same frequencies, your brain is sensitive enough to pick that stuff up. But for you to use it for a little bit, just to give yourself a hint whether or not that's, like you're sleeping, the amount of times you toss and turn and movement through the night,
right,
whether that's actually impacting your own body's ability to repair. Because that restorative sleep is so important. Generally, between the hours of 12 and 4 in the morning, if your brain gets into that theta delta phase, that deep sleep, then we produce growth hormones. We produce all these ways to kind of allow our bodies to get to restore and rebuild.
Nice.
Your brain actually shrinks a little bit, and your spinal fluid flushes the brain like a car wash. So I usually take a binder before bed because I'll grab some of those toxins that are happening while I'm sleeping at night.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, you send me some of those.
Yeah, so you can detox at night and you can detox during the day.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff.
I'm going to start doing that. I just bought an 8-sleep mattress.
Oh, you did?
Very excited for that.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
It tracks your sleep, I think. They have like a monthly membership now. Everyone's going to this monthly model.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like $24 a month, and we'll see what happens. And you could cool the pad, which I like.
Yeah. Being cooler at night is generally the way the brain likes it. So especially like above the head or, in that, keeping the room cooler would, again, take you to that place where you're getting that delta or restorative sleep.
Yeah. So what's the number one most important biohacking product you tell people to get when they're starting out?
Oh, my God. We make them all. Like we try to cover all the bases. So now you're asking what child I like the best of my. It's really hard for me to choose. I think I love the portable saunas that we make, frankly, because it's like a 30 to 40 minute treatment. You do it, or session. You do it in the morning usually to get the best result. But it kind of sets, if you can do it in the morning, if your lifestyle permits, then it sets the stage similar. Again, in our tech, what we try to do is mimic nature. And so I kind of do the throwbacks of how was it when we, in the days of Moses, Jesus, and Buddha, right?
Yeah.
So we lived in the land, we lived in caves, we woke up to sunlight, and it's sort of nothing like what happens now. We have alarm clocks, right? So like I don't use one. I wake up when my body's ready to wake up,
Wow.
which is usually 4:30, 5 o'clock in the
Damn,
morning.
naturally?
Yeah.
That's early.
Yeah. But it's my bio clock, right? And your brain actually cycles every 3 hours. So if you go to bed at 9, at 12, it's cycling from high to low. So usually it's not just for guys, but when you cycle low, it's your lightest time when in terms of your brain's sensitivity to your body. And so usually if you have to go to the bathroom, it'll be on a low cycle, okay? And so imagine if you're cycling every 3 hours. And so you go to bed at 9, 12 you cycle, 3 o'clock you cycle, 6 o'clock you cycle again, right? Now, if you set your alarm clock for 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, whatever's reasonable, and you're not cycling at a low cycle, and the alarm clock wakes you up when you're supposed to, your brain is in a deep sleep, you wake up groggy and you can't figure out why because you had 8, 9 hours of sleep. How could that be?
That's
right?
happened to me before.
Yeah. And so a lot of it has to do with your own bio clock, like how you cycle with that, and again, against technology. But you're healthy and you're young, and that should be a normal pattern for you. But imagine if you're a little older or if you have a chronic ailment, and so that chronic Lyme disease or cancer or autoimmune challenges, which, man, so much of the population in the country now is suffering or knows people that's suffering from that. And the challenge there is that whole chronic health challenge is taking your body away from its normal cycle patterns. And so you don't get restorative sleep. Sometimes you don't even get into restorative sleep when you have, let's say, a Lyme challenge, right? And then that starts to compound because your body doesn't have enough energy to support the immune system to fight off the onset of the disease.
Wow.
So you've got like a perfect storm for the disease. So when I talk to people, young, old, or whatever, and we start to coach them on managing their health challenges, I look to cover the bases and say, okay, what kind of water are you drinking? Tell me about your lifestyle. Tell me about the kind of food proclivities you have. And then let's talk about your sleeping patterns and how active you are. And so once I kind of get a feel for that, then it's very easy for me to guide you to some better choices.
Yeah.
And then you just have to allow your body to get back into sync.
Yes, that makes sense. So start with the sauna. And there's a lot of debate on saunas, on the best types, red light, wooden. Where do you kind of stand on that? Because I'm sure you've researched them all.
Yeah. And actually, we do make both the wooden and the portables. But in my opinion, the portable sauna and personal sauna that we make is probably the best therapeutic device you can get these days. I can do a lot more with it. First off, our portable version, you have your head out. Now, your brain, like we said about sleep, your brain cells are much more sensitive to heat than your body is. That's why when you want to sleep at night, you want the room to be cool because your brain wants to cool down.
Right.
Then you can get into that phase. But now let's reverse it. If you have a chronic challenge, and generally it's microbial, like meaning an imbalance in parasites or mold or microorganisms in general, they have their own life cycle. They don't love heat and they don't love oxygen. They're generally what's called anaerobic. They live on very, very low oxygen. So if I can do something to rebalance and reset your internal environment, I'd look to bring more oxygen into your blood. And I'd look to also kind of create that energetic expression, like we said, about touching the earth and all that, that works against what these organisms like.
Right.
Now, how do we improve oxygenation? The sauna is a really great way to do that because our sauna gets what's called full spectrum infrared frequencies. These, you can't see, they're invisible to your eye. And there are basically three different kinds of sauna formats. One would be the dry type, like a Swedish type sauna. That's usually 200 degrees. A steam room is another kind. And then there's the infrared category. Now, there's actually studies out there, and I love the people that do these, but they actually measured a drop of sweat in the same individual from a hot rock sauna, Swedish type, dry, steam room, and infrared. And there were 80 times more toxins, okay, in the infrared environment, in the sweat, than in the other two.
Whoa.
Now, that's significant, because the other guys will grab the poisons that are available in your bloodstream. But infrared saunas, sunlight, infrared spectrum, actually creates a vibration in the body. It's called a bioresonance. And that vibration basically breaks loose the bond between the toxin and where it's stored, in your cell or in your tissue. So the other formats will grab poisons that are available, like the low-hanging fruit. But infrared environment actually stimulates the body to expel or to chelate the poisons that are being held.
Incredible.
That's the key, particularly when it comes to heavy metals. So regular other environmental toxins are super important. And the first line, we have a layer of fat that's under our skin. So anything that we absorb through our skin, like water that carries poisons or air. So most environmental toxins are actually stored in the fat just under your skin.
Got it.
That's why when you go into sauna and you start to sweat, about 70 to 80% of that sweat comes through your skin. The other 20% actually goes the other way into your bloodstream.
Really?
Yeah. So you have this fat cell that's holding on to 70% of the toxins that the body is holding on to. And most of it's coming out through sweat, but the other part's going back in.
Dang.
That's kind of why we like using binders with our protocols, because a binder's like a biosponge, and generally it's charcoal, like activated charcoal, bentonite clay, things like that, or zeolite, which is a silica derivative. And they basically gobble up all the available poisons that are available in your bloodstream. And that's a great way to kind of most efficiently get these toxins out.
I love that. Yeah, I haven't heard of people taking binders for sauna use, but that's a new thing.
It's a great stack.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's one of my favorite ones.
What other stacks are you doing?
Well, let me see. About 6 years ago, a portable sauna. I just had this vision, which was like the hub of a wagon wheel. So if I have you in that sauna for a half hour, then what other stacks could I bring into that environment that actually dials up your experience? So imagine the spokes of the wagon wheel being guided meditation, breath work. Another one is ozone. So we make a little ozone device you can put in there that will help what happens in your body physiologically is as you start to sweat and your skin gets hydrated, it helps get the poisons out, but at the same time, it accentuates your skin as a breathing organ. So anything in that sauna environment, you can actually breathe back in through your skin directly into your bloodstream.
Wow.
So that's super cool.
Ozone.
Yeah.
So oxygen,
ozone
right?
is just extra oxygen.
And you could put that in the sauna.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Wooden or portable, but we make a version that goes actually for both. And so most of us age. One of the biggest reasons why we age is called oxidative stress. Our blood's ability to hold on to oxygen starts to go down as we get older. So anything we can do to improve blood oxygenation slows down the aging process. It's that simple. And so a beautiful stack is infrared that promotes vasodilation, expanding of vessels, improving blood flow. It also triggers the near frequencies, and red light, triggers your blood to grab more oxygen when you make it available. And so that's cool. So because it produces a transient gas called nitric oxide, which we make less of as we get older. So if you think about all these kind of stacks that we're talking about, it's kind of cool to figure out how to organize them in a sequence that allows you in a half hour in sauna, improve blood oxygenation, bringing more ozone in. You can bring aromatherapy as another stack we like, because essential oils are basically what all medicines are made from.
Wow.
So plant medicines are the pharmaceuticals or synthetic drugs or medicines are made from plants or flowers. And so that's what an essential oil is. So you can bring like basil in for mental clarity. You can bring in frankincense for overall healing, lavender to calm your body down. So you're in sauna, you're sweating out poisons, and your skin is actually breathing in an essential oil or breathing in ozone.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, right?
That is cool.
And you're just kind of hanging out and relaxing. In our portable, you can bring your hands out, and so you can text if you want to, and
I love it.
hang out with your friends.
I can't wait to try it. I just ordered one from you
You
guys.
did?
Yeah.
You did? Okay,
I'm really excited.
that'll be fun. And we can set up a protocol for you that just basically serves whatever goals you're going for.
That's exciting. Yeah, I used to love the aromatherapy in the steam rooms, but the problem with the steam rooms at the public gyms is they use tap water.
Right.
So you're just inhaling that chlorine and all that.
Yeah. Or you're sitting, this is kind of seems so simple to me, but don't sit in someone else's sweat. Okay? Like you bring a towel and throw it on the bench, because basically they're in there sweating out their poisons. And the last thing you want to do is to be sitting in their poisons and then absorbing them back in, right, into your body.
I think that's how the mold started at the sauna, because people don't wipe their sweat. So it just disgusting.
Yeah.
Crazy. There's a couple of therapies on your site I thought were interesting. I wanted you to explain them. Gemstone therapy. Yeah,
well, I guess just sort of in my cathartic process of development, we are a wholly owned company. My wife and I are co-founders. So we don't have like a big board of directors in terms of device development. That's my area. And so I kind of employ in our devices what I consider to be the pillars of health in general. So when I study ancient cultures, and I also study natural healing and the ways that I can support your body to do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't touch the earth anymore, right? We wear shoes and sneakers, even the ones like I wear Vivos, and I'm sure you probably wear like low footprint stuff. And so you're getting the ergonomic aspect of it, but you're still not touching the earth. So being grounded is a key. And generally when I'm at home, I walk barefoot, or I'm one of those guys that actually does hug trees or walking in the sand and all that. You get that, like kind of that mellow feeling from that. That's just basically your body energetics rebalancing. The gemstone thing, I noticed that there are certain earth elements that actually generate frequencies. And so that's the notion or the theory. And then I started to do a deep dive into what kinds of stones generate frequencies that actually resonate with the body and can enhance the body's own experience. Again, we don't touch the earth anymore. So I guess the best analogy would be like a radio isotope like deuterium or, any of the radioactive stones. In nature, it's actually a boulder. And you can walk right by it and not know that it's radioactive. But if you took a Geiger counter to it, or some kind of device, a detection device, it would go beep, 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 and you can get that radiation, but your body necessarily can't sense that. If you take that notion and understand that almost every organic compound generates a wavelength or a frequency, which we've gone and cataloged all of them.
Wow.
And so what I do is I go around the world and I curate various different gemstones that have wavelengths and frequencies. And then I put them together, sort of a cocktail. But rather than drinking it, we're just surrounded with earth energies that
love it.
If we were living in nature like our ancestors, we would get it and wouldn't be thinking about it. But in modern world, you live in an air-conditioned home, and you drive in an air-conditioned car. And so that modern convenience of the air conditioning is amazing, but it does take us away from the way nature kind of intended us to be. And I think because of that, it's bringing out, like, it's called epigenetics, but it's bringing out like genetic proclivities, like different switches that we have in our genetics that maybe never would have been turned on in our lifetimes if we lived 100 years ago.
Wow.
But in today's world, because of our toxic environment, they're spraying the air with aluminum, the electromagnetic field challenges we're having, glyphosate in our food, water, and, our soils now. Soils are depleted, so the nutrition value of the foods that we're eating isn't quite as good as our grandparents was. You have to kind of understand that general direction and then do things to supplement to kind of bring us back so that we can live healthy, normal lives.
Yeah. I remember when chemtrails were a conspiracy theory. Now
Right?
It's like everywhere. I see it every day. It's crazy.
Yeah, right?
It's so normalized.
I know. And you know what? That normalized kind of gives us an opportunity to kind of be mollified in a way. It's not common anymore. It's just, yeah, right, that's right. So we discount it.
Yeah.
We go on with our lives, not realizing the impact of what that could be.
It's crazy. I have like 6 air filters in my house.
Yeah.
You have to.
Definitely. Air, filter the air, filter the water. Try to eat organic if you can. But even eating organic isn't enough. And
wow.
One of my buddies did a study, and he just took organic broccoli from like probably
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods. And he went across, I think, 8 or 9 cities in the country, same amount. And he measured the nutritional value, and the variance was 150 to 200% difference.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
So it matters where you get the vegetables from.
Well, it matters from where the soil that the vegetable is being cultivated from.
So which states had the highest?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't go that
I need
deep
to look into
it.
that, because we're in a desert here. So if you grow here, it's probably not the best quality.
Well, yeah, or even when you import, it could be important. Just like these days with the waters being polluted, aren't you a little concerned about where the fish, if you eat fish, what waters they're coming from?
Oh yeah, I had to cut back on fish, to be honest.
Yeah,
I used to love sushi, but just the heavy metals and who knows where it's coming from.
Exactly, and also the people think that farming fish that are farmed is better, but then they're using pesticides and different steroids and different chemicals in those waters. So the fish look healthy, or they look bigger, or whatever, just like farming and cattle and all that.
Yeah, the meat.
Yep. So, we have a tendency to eat fishes that are from colder, deeper waters, because they're less likely to have a lot of that chemical intervention.
Right, it's like Alaska salmon, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, tuna has too much heavy metals.
Yeah, totally. Right.
Crazy. Yeah, I used to love tuna, but man, it's a shame. These days you got to be really careful what you eat, because it adds up.
Yeah, I know. And I think one part is being conscious of that and it adding up, like you say. The other part has to do with other hacks that you can bring in, like infrared sauna, for instance, that just a sauna 30 minutes a day and a little supplement that's cost you like $10 a month, the charcoal, could take care of a lot of the poisons that the body's holding on to. And then, again, self-regulate your nervous system and the way that your microbiome is set up.
Right. Also on your site, negative ion technology.
Right.
What exactly was that?
So negative ion occurs in nature when running water moves over land or through the atmosphere. So it's basically a free electron is another way to do it. And that's earth energy. The earth is giving you electrons. And what happens to our bodies, each of our cells are like little batteries. So you got a positive and a negative pole. In order for a cell to communicate, it should actually be neutral, meaning the same amount of negative charge as positive charge. In today's world, because we don't touch the earth anymore, and to get that negative charge to balance, most of us, almost categorically, I can say, are more positive than neutral. More positive than the amount of negative charge. So our bodies are starving for electrons. And knowing that, I try to put back electrons into all of our devices.
Got it.
So this is when I get personal with you, Sean.
Yeah.
How do you sing in the shower?
I do.
Okay. Do you know why?
I actually don't know why.
Okay. Would you like to know?
Yeah. I'd be
Okay.
curious.
So physiologically, the reason why you sing in the shower is because, the main reason. The reason is because when that water in nature, free electrons or negative ions happen when running water moves over land. So an abundance place for negative ions would be like Niagara Falls, right? But let's take that down to a micro. You're in your shower, the water coming through your shower head, that friction of the water just coming through the shower head is actually freeing up electrons in that small shower stall, or however big your shower stall is. Now your body is starving for those electrons, right? And so the first thing that happens is, as it's filling up your shower stall, your body is taking in that negative ion or that electron, and it's neutralizing your cells. So what happens is the cell gets better communication because it's not struggling anymore, because that off balance of the charge of your cell slows down the communication process. So now you're freer to communicate. Emotionally, you have a sense of well-being and a good feeling. You feel like exuberant, not just because you're cleaning your body. Wow, I'm having fun with this. I guess I just talk with my hands. but you're neutralizing the cell, right?
Yeah.
And that gives you a sense of euphoria, well-being. So the physiological reason why you're sitting in the shower is because you're freaking happy.
Wow. Yeah, I never
Okay.
thought about that.
And you're happy because you're balancing your body energies through that process, right? So imagine if we expand that concept to kicking your shoes off and walking in the sand, like that euphoric feeling, that calm feeling when you're down by the ocean. It's not just the sound of the wave hitting the ocean or hitting the shore, but when that wave hits the sand, it's actually that same friction that's freeing up electrons, and your body's absorbing all that stuff in.
Yeah, the air feels so good by the ocean.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
I love a breath of fresh air. That's the one thing I miss about it, living in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, but the good thing is you can hop in the car and drive a few hours and be right at it.
Yeah. Yeah, people have good ideas in the shower, so there could be something there with what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, another reason why I sing is because my voice is so bad, so all the pests and I don't need a exterminator. They just go to my neighbor's house.
That's hilarious. Oh, man. Anything else? I mean, we covered red light, right?
Yeah,
Kinda
red light's pretty
infrared.
cool. The infrared sauna we make, the Thera 360, it has red light panels in the front, along with the regular full spectrum stuff. We have no EMF. That's really good. So that many of the other devices, they have high EMF.
Wow.
And so you get the sauna benefit or the infrared benefit, but your body's conflicted with the exogenous man-made frequencies. So we kind of remediated and took EMF off the table.
Nice.
So you're getting pure infrared, just the way basically nature intended us to get it. We're just not, living in a tent. We're living in our modern environments. But that's what we try to do, is create that at home. And the reason why we have our head out is so that I can actually raise your body core temperature up. So if you're fighting off, let's say, a virus or COVID or even mold, many of these organisms that are invading us, they don't like high temperature. They don't like oxygen. And so if I can raise your core and create what we call a false fever by being in sauna with your head out, so now your brain cells are more sensitive to heat than your body is. So with your head out in that portable version, that's why it's so cool. Your head is out. You can kind of check out. You don't get claustrophobic because you can check out your environment or your whatever the room you're in. Your brain is cool. You can read, so you don't have a visual impairment. If you've got any kind of metal in your mouth like amalgams, there's no off-gassing of that mercury that also is a toxin.
Oh, wow.
That helps or gives people challenges with their brain activity or cognitive challenges. And I can work on just raising your body core temperature up, creating a fever. Because if you think about it, when you get a virus or you get a bacteria or some kind of infection, your body senses that and tells the brain to send out the sort of like their killer cells. They send out these cells to go and gobble up the invader. That's one of the things it does. The next thing it does is it turns off the thermostat inside and you start to get a fever. Because most of these organisms, around 101 degrees core temperature, there's a natural die-off. And around 101 is when your immune system is 800 times more active.
Holy crap.
Right. So think about that. You got this invader coming in, the brain senses it, turns off the thermostat, your temperature goes up. Now the die-off, there's a natural die-off. So these guys, these little organisms, they only do three things. They use your body resources, they replicate, that's their big deal, and they poop. So when they die, that's a toxin. When they poop, that's a toxin. So most of us are symptomatic because of toxicity. So that's where my research came from. I saw the correlation between toxicity, inflammation, and symptoms. So if you're symptomatic, whatever the symptom is, I believe that a lot of that's coming from inflammation and toxicity. And so if I can just keep you on a program to keep your toxicity low, your inflammation is low, then you basically got very little symptoms.
Right, because inflammation affects everything.
Yeah, and you can have a chronic challenge but live, within a normal lifestyle, just if you can sort of manage that relationship between toxicity and inflammation.
Nice, that's exciting because a lot of people are dealing with autoimmune diseases, and that lasts forever, right?
It can. Or you may always have it, but what's, I don't know, maybe it's a modern view. But my thing is that if you understand what your purpose is, like what your bliss is, so to speak, and you live symptom-free, then what's left is really a label.
Right? Yeah, I like that.
So I think that the modern definition of health or good health has to do with your ability to live out your life symptom-free and just set your purpose and be able to fulfill that, right? What gets in the way? Society sometimes, but mostly if it comes to health, it's just the way that our Western healthcare approach, they want to kind of, and I'm not saying this from a conspiracy point of view, but I think that it benefits them financially if you're sick.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's an adage about in the Asian bloc countries, you pay your health provider, like your general practitioner, every day you're healthy. When you get sick, you stop paying. So think about that. Imagine if our Western medical system was set up that way, right?
We got it backwards.
Well, what's the indicia? Like here, we want to keep people sick because there's more money in it, right?
Yeah, I love Eastern medicine.
Yeah,
I gravitate towards that just because it's all natural.
And we put a lot of that stuff. We look at all cultures in the things that we do in our work.
Love it. Robby, where can people find more about you and potentially purchase some products?
So Therasage.com. So www.therasage.com. And then we have a pretty active Instagram and social network, Facebook. So it's Therasage Infrared is the one for Instagram. And then you can follow us and kind of check in. We've got a pretty cool customer service group. You can sign up on our website for a free coaching call. And so you can talk with one of our health advisory teams, match up your goal. You don't have to be sick. It could just be optimal health. You just want to stay healthy and be strong and, keep dialing it up, leveling it up.
Yeah.
So you can check in with some of our guys, kind of give us an idea of what it is that you're looking to do and achieve. And then we'll pair up either a product that you have or thinking about getting of ours and kind of give you the short story on how to optimize your experience.
I love it. I like how personal your business is because a lot of health companies just mass market.
And we're kind of living in an impersonal world.
Yeah.
So probably like you, we organize or look at trends, and we don't want to be where everybody is. And it's not like we're looking to disrupt the way things are going, but if everybody seems to be, or in the world that we're living in, is sort of impersonal, then I'd like to try to lean towards being more personal.
Yeah.
Because I just think, I don't mind getting there a little slower, Sean. I just know that I want to be happy, and I also want to sort of help people help themselves through their own health journeys along the way. It's way more rewarding than any of the monies that you can ever make in your lifetime.
I love it. Yeah, you gave me an hour of your time, so I really appreciate that.
Well,
thank you.
Aren't you special?
Yeah.
Are you worth it?
I'm trying, man.
Okay, well, maybe if we all thought that way, then we could seek and lean into people that identify that.
Yeah, I'll upload photos to the wellness room when it's all done and tag you because you definitely helped me create that, man.
Well, we're just starting.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be fun, and I just love kind of working with guys like you that, identify that they just want to maintain their optimum performance from cradle to grave.
Love it. Thanks, Robby. We'll link Therasage below. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, love being here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
For sure. Thanks for watching, guys. See you tomorrow.
Okay.